Alright, we're going to change the shocks out in the 2004 Toyota Tundra today. I was online, didn't find an exact video, but a lot of helpful ones, and I thought I'd post this one for those of you who need some help. Well, we already changed the driver's side rear shock. We replaced it with this new shock absorber here. It was a little complicated because there are some lines here that are in the way, and then unfortunately the bolt and the nut that secure the shock were a little bit on the tight side, and it was a little complicated to get out, but we managed to get it. And here it is, the driver's side, driver's side already replaced. There's the old shock, and we're going to do the other side. It's a little easier access. I think it's going to be easier for you guys to get a better idea of how simple it is. Actually, it's not too complicated. I was going to pay to have it done, but I decided, you know what, it might be worth a try. See if maybe we can knock it out. And sure enough, the other side was not too difficult. Took me a little while, but we managed to do it. Now we're going to do the driver's side, the passenger side, a rear shock of a 2004 Toyota Tundra. Here's some of the tools and things that we're going to need. Here's the new shock absorber, and we got the jack stands and got the vehicle secured. So I'm going to take off this tire, and we'll get in there to change out that shock. Alright, tire's off. Got all that off there, and this is what it looks like underneath the carriage here. And that is, the light's pretty bad in here, but that is the bolt that we got to get out. Got to get that nut out, because that's what holds the top of the shock on the undercarriage of the truck. And then we got to get this bolt off down here. Got to get that guy off, which is actually not too difficult to do. So I'm gonna get my tools and show you how easy it is actually to take those off. Not too difficult at all. Alright, so we're now underneath here. We're going to take this bolt off. Pretty easy actually. It's not a difficult bolt to take off. Takes a little bit of elbow grease, but once you break it, it goes pretty easy. You just got to pull this guy off. Once you get it going, it comes off pretty easily. Get this guy off of here, and if it doesn't break too easy, use a little bit of work, a little bit of help. Little hammer. Help this guy slide out. Alright, little WD-40 would probably help. And those of you who are over there, who are mechanics, you know the tricks. But us amateurs, we work with what we have. Well, let's just unscrew it out.
Dad, your hazard rambling.
Pause. Alright, I got my crescent wrench holding the top of the shock, and with that held in place, now you can get a wrench in there to break this. Oops, wrong end. You can get a wrench in there so we can break this here. So I'm going to go ahead and break that and start that nut, loosening it, and we'll take it off. Alright, well, I'm still struggling with getting that guy off, but you know what I had to do on the other side is I had to cut this plastic cover off of the shock from here. I had to cut it off with just a drywall knife so that I can get in there, and the only way to grip or have some kind of grip or torque from down here at the bottom is you have to get into the top, and there's a little flange that I'm going to show you in a minute where you can take a grip from. You know, because these shocks have been underneath there since this truck was new, of course. That's a little tough, but I'll get that off in a minute. I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so this is what we did here. I took my knife and cut this guy off. And once we get it all cut, we're able to expose that flange that I'm talking about up in there, you see. And what I do is I take one of my wrenches and grab onto the edge here, and that kind of gives me a little bit of resistance and resistant torque to take that nut off at the top. That's fortunately the... Alright, so I've got my pliers holding underneath that flange, and I've got my crescent wrench up here. Now it's a little easier to grab, but as you can see, I can turn this flange, and I don't know if you can see up in here. Why don't you point the camera in here, son? I can now turn that nut and washer, and they're going to go underneath. Oh, let me show you guys something. See these little holes in here? I actually use a screwdriver from underneath to hold it, and it gives me a little bit of torque. Maybe that's what they're for, I don't know. If they are, well, whoever invented these is a genius, because these work really good to hold the shock down at the bottom, so that when you're screwing at the top, the nut actually goes in easy. So I'm going to go ahead and put this underneath here. Put that on. Let's get it started. Let's get the rubber grommet on the top. The little washer. And let's get the nut going. See if you can pan in here, son. Let's show them what we're doing up in here. So we got the new nut, of course, secured in there. We've got the shock underneath there, and I'm going to get underneath there so I can show you guys what it looks like from the bottom. Alright, so this is what I do. I use my little screwdriver, stick it in there, and then it puts a little pressure against the shock rod there that guides the whole thing. And I hold it underneath here, and as you can tell, it's got me a little bit of pressure underneath there, and then from the top it ends up being easier to turn that nut, because I don't have to hold. You guys remember the shock from the top? You have that little flat part at the end of the bolt, and I have to hold it with my crescent wrench so that I can release that bolt. Well, this one's a little easier because I'm actually holding it from the bottom, so which is really nice actually. So yeah, I was telling you guys a little while ago that I had heard that these Tundra shocks, the original shocks, for whatever reason gave out, and that's why, if you guys are experiencing a clunking noise, that could be the problem. It's not the transmission, from what I understand. It's this. these shocks that were making the noise. Understand somewhere between 04 and 06, I don't know what year this same body model was using these same shocks, but I'm going to guess that maybe all the trucks in this model and build probably had a similar deal going on. So now my cameraman, as you guys can tell, he's shooting the undercarriage of the truck there. But now we can't really blame too much on him. He's only 10. Right, son?
Yeah.
But I've got the bolt up at the top pretty tight, and you don't want to over tighten these grommets. Okay, these underneath here, you do not want to over tighten, because there has to be a little give in the shock absorber so that those rubber grommets do their job. So let me show you guys now down in here what we got to connect, which is we got to put this shock absorber back into place with that bolt that we took off earlier. And I think the bolt's underneath my son.
No, it's right here.
Oh, there it is, right there. And we're gonna put that bolt. We're gonna take this guy and put it back in place, right in there. So go ahead and take the camera, son, and go ahead and pan out a little bit so that everybody can see. And you see it doesn't fit in there perfectly, but that's okay. I have myself a little screwdriver here that's going to help me just position this into the right spot. And once I do that, this bolt will be a little easier to get in. And all we gotta do is tighten these guys up. Be careful. You don't want to strip your bolts and then have major problems next time you come out to change your shocks. So, if you have the proper tools, use the right size wrench. If you don't, well, just be real careful. Alright, that's actually tight enough. I'm going to take this guy off.
Recording.
Alright. Okay, so we got the tires on. Let's get the jack stands off. Drop the truck and see what change it made. And, oh yeah, sure enough. I see probably a good inch or more change in the height in the back. That's my son. Hi.
Hi.
Yep, here's the videographer. Couldn't keep the camera steady, but he did okay.
I'm always on.
Alright, so that was changing the shocks, folks. I'm going to take it for a ride.